Today on BCIT Magazine, Occupy Vancouver protesters pack up their camp.
Highlights of Occupy Vancouver's contributions to the homeless.
And a memorial to a local musician. Thank you for joining us and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Michael Popove.
And I'm Kaylee Ramsey. We're broadcasting live today from BCIT's Great Hall, which is a first for BCIT Magazine.
The Great Hall is a hub for both students and staff. It's home to the campus pub, bookstore, and Students Association.
A little later in the show, we'll be joined live by BCIT Student Association's Manager of Events and Programs, Ian Morton.
He'll be introducing us to some of the latest measures BCIT is taking to help make the campus a greener space.
But first, we start our headlining story. Earlier this week, protesters with Occupy Vancouver were facing eviction from their camp at the Vancouver Art Gallery. Being ordered to leave wasn't enough to stop their protest. Instead, they picked up their tents and moved to a new location. I went to the site to check out the movement. Occupiers began marching through the streets of downtown. However, even with the 2 o'clock deadline looming, one protester says the decision to pack up and leave isn't easy.
Well, my house is right behind you there, and I was standing by my tent there, and the police came by like half an hour ago, and they told me if I was going to stand there after 2 o'clock, I'd be arrested. I don't want to go to jail, and at the same time, I don't want to move.
Other demonstrators feel the decision to leave was easier as they weren't given a choice.
A lot of people are packing up today because they're worried about being arrested, which will negatively affect the movement, negatively affect their individual lives.
To ensure the safety of protesters, representatives from the BC Civil Liberties Association are on site to ensure the teardown and move remains peaceful.
Well, we've always been hoping that things would be very peaceful, and certainly disappointed that the court didn't consider the constitutional arguments around the rights of homeless people, where these homeless people are going to end up once this thing's disassembled. And our job is just to watch the security officials, watch the city officials, and make sure people's rights are respected.
Protesters have reached the final destination right here at the law courts that ordered the injunction to remove them from the Vancouver Art Gallery in the first place. Protesters say they like the new destination, some heading back to the Vancouver Art Gallery to grab their tents to stay the night. Kaylee Ramsey in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Meanwhile, those involved in the Occupy protest gathered to shed some light on the positive social services provided by the movement. Gerv Bod has this report.
Changing locations wasn't the only inconvenience Occupy Vancouver protesters felt this week.
The injunction that goes into effect at 2 p.m. today means that Occupy Vancouver can no longer provide any of the services that we have been providing. We challenge the federal, the provincial, and the municipal government to replace our efforts.
According to Eric Hamilton-Smith, spokesperson for Occupy Vancouver, the eviction from the art gallery will impact a large group of people that relied on services provided by the movement.
Occupy Vancouver served an average of 1,000 meals per day. It provided 30,000 meals over the last month with an estimated value of $45,000 to the community. If you compare those costs, the value of those services to soup kitchens in the downtown east side. The medical tent cared for around 100 patients per day, most of whom were not occupiers.
Occupy organizers aren't sure how they will reestablish the services, but they vow to continue the efforts of bringing awareness in the next stage of the occupation.
Future occupations may take many different forms, some community-based, others more disruptive, so to speak. For example, occupation of parks or other such public space, occupation of buildings, flash occupations of SkyTrains, like you saw last night, shopping malls, coffee shops, et cetera, et cetera. We will ensure that we will be heard as we move forward.
As occupiers pack their belongings, it will take some time to determine the true social impact of the occupation of the art gallery. Gerv Bod in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
The Vancouver music community was shocked this weekend to learn one of their own had passed away. Mitch Pollock has more on this tragic story.
The downtown east side was the setting for another tragedy this weekend when police discovered the body of well-known Vancouver musician Randy Ponzio.
It was last Tuesday night when Randy told his friends he was going for a walk, but they never saw him again. Posters like these were put up all over downtown, but 4 days later, Randy was found dead at the Balmoral Hotel.
Police are unsure of the cause of death, but they do suspect foul play. His tragic passing, however, was met with an outpouring of love from hundreds of his friends and family Monday night, all gathering at one of his favorite busking spots on Granville Street.
The group here has been singing, dancing, laughing, crying. There's been spoken word, there's been freestyling, and even in this miserable weather, it's been a great night of celebration.
The sheer size of the crowd gathered in the rain spoke to the effect his music and personality had on those around him.
Positivity. Amazing. He gets everyone involved. Just the whole crowd. If you go to those open mics or whatever, he's the highlight of the night. For sure, he runs the whole show. Everyone's involved. Keeps everyone positive. There's nothing negative about it. It's just positivity and love.
He's electrifying. He literally grabs you. I've seen him stop people in their tracks, and a crowd attracts a crowd. And in one song, he could draw 150 people, just frozen.
Many in the crowd lit candles and incense in his memory, and a website has been set up for donating to his children, a chance to give back for a man who gave so much.
What are you going to remember about your friend?
Everything.
Mitch Pollock in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, the Grey Cup arrives in style in Vancouver.
And the cast of Toy Story is lending a hand to Surrey's needy.
This is me. And my mom and dad. And my big brother Alex. And Jack. This is the day I learned that sandals got their name from sand. That jellyfish aren't made of jelly. That stars don't just come from the sky. That the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget I was sick. This was my wish.
Welcome back. Christmas spirit is spreading around the Lower Mainland. The Salvation Army, together with Impark, have launched a unique toy drive for the holidays. Drivers with Impark parking tickets were able to bring them into the Sally Ann downtown and have their fine wiped from the record on one condition. They also had to bring in one new unopened toy.
This year it was just something we hadn't done in a while in Vancouver, and we decided it was good time to do it again. We did it in 2004, we had a great result, and we were able to make a very positive contribution to the community, and we thought it was just time to bring it out again.
People have taken advantage of this one-day offer. Over 1,000 toys were collected in just 2 hours. Most people brought in 1 or 2 tickets, but the largest donation came from one man who exchanged 33 tickets along with 33 toys.
Later, we'll show you another opportunity to donate for Christmas, but first up, we have sports. Grey Cup celebrations in Vancouver have been going on all week. The Grey Cup was escorted into the city by the Canadian military to kick off the festivities. And as Paul Albee finds out, there's more to the Grey Cup than the game itself for CFL fans.
The arrival of the Grey Cup aboard a Canadian Forces helicopter marked the official beginning of Grey Cup festivities in Vancouver. For some, the Grey Cup itself symbolizes far more than just a football game, but rather it signifies a time for camaraderie and the fostering of new and old relationships.
It's actually more like, if you can think of it, like Halloween for adults, because we get dressed up along with all the other fans, get reacquainted after years. Your individual team rivalries gets shelved, and you basically just all get together and have a good time.
All the people we're with today are people we met at Grey Cup, and the only time we see them is at Grey Cup, and we look forward to every year.
In fact, our group, we met at Grey Cup. We didn't know one another, and now we're friends. There's 8 of us here,
and we make arrangements
every year we come to the Grey Cup together.
It's not just about the football, it's also about a fantastic weekend of culture, Canadian culture celebrating together, and people from across our great country all coming together to celebrate football.
Throughout the week, there will be over 3 dozen ticketed events, as well as many free shows to see and areas to experience.
Yeah, we'll be at Touchdown Manitoba, we'll be at the Spirit of Edmonton, we'll be at the Stamps House, we'll be at the BC Lions Den.
With the Grey Cup officially landing in Vancouver, the good times can now begin.
And it's just, it's our game and it's our party and it's once a year and we're here to have fun.
That's the start of our week. Seeing the Cup arrive is the start of our week. And then from there, then it's a real party time.
Paul Albee in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
The BC Lions are looking to become the first team to earn a Grey Cup on home turf in 17 years. But as Colin Hope found out, the Lions aren't the only ones looking to cash in.
The drinks will be flowing this week at bars around Vancouver as the 99th Grey Cup is in town. It's a boom time for local bars who will be preparing for a big party.
We start stocking up around a couple weeks before. We know that it's coming up, so it's kind of an advantage for us, and so we'll definitely order way more beer. We went last Sunday with the Western Final. We went through so much beer we couldn't even believe it. Typically wouldn't be completely full on a Sunday at any time, and we will probably have a lineup at the door for around 11 o'clock.
Meanwhile, jersey and memorabilia stores around Vancouver are struggling to find room for BC Lions gear and all things Grey Cup. The question is, will we see a repeat of the Stanley Cup riots? It was the last major sporting championship in the city, but Tourism Vancouver's Dave Gaisley expects a different atmosphere for the CFL's biggest event.
It's all ages, it's families, it's older couples, it's a real mix. So maybe a little different than what we saw with the emotions of the Stanley Cup being a little different. This is a little more low-key and a little more broad audience. And I think it is a great chance for the city to celebrate a real, true Canadian event.
Now, the 4-day Grey Cup Festival begins this Thursday with parties around Vancouver. 300,000 people are expected for the game on Sunday. Many will be watching on screens, such as this one here at BC Place. Now, officials are expecting $100 million to be pumped into local economies and restaurants and businesses surrounding BC Place. I'm Colin Hope in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
And the Grey Cup isn't the only big football game in town, as 2 of the country's best university football teams compete for the Vanier Cup. Mitch Pollock has more.
The 2011 Vanier Cup has finally made its way to Vancouver. This year's tilt is a classic David versus Goliath matchup with powerhouse Laval Rouge et Or taking on the upstart McMaster Marauders. In a game of this magnitude, you would expect a heated pre-game press conference, but it was all love and respect on Tuesday, though McMaster coach Stefan Vatsek knows his team can't afford to be intimidated.
One of the big hurdles that most teams have to get over is the mystique and the aura of Laval University. It's a tradition like no other, and to think you got to play a perfect football game is a trap you can fall into.
I think we're playing an outstanding football team, well coached, well led, very creative offense, very exotic defense, and this is very, very well coached football team, and we have a lot of respect for McMaster, and we're hoping to have a great football game across the board. So.
McMaster's looking for their first championship in school history, having made only one other finals appearance over 40 years ago. They will rely on quarterback Kyle Quinlan to power the Marauders past the 7-time Cup champs Laval.
Our inexperience in this big game, our inexperience in this environment, we don't know any better. It works in our advantage, so ignorance is bliss.
With 21,000 tickets already sold for the Vanier Cup and still a few days left to purchase, it should be pretty packed here at BC Place for the game, guaranteeing a very exciting atmosphere. Mitch Pollock in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, an innovative building at UBC brings sustainable to a new level.
And a behind-the-scenes look at BCIT Magazine's first live broadcast on location.
Let's slow the money down. Let's slow the money down. Get a piece of it for ourselves.
Economy, corporations, markets, and currency. These are not forces of nature. We invented them.
We will take our money out of the bank, close our accounts, and move our money into credit unions.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
But take it.
These tents need to go now.
We lost him.
Start your holiday season early this year with the peak of Christmas at Grouse Mountain. Visit Santa, meet some of his reindeer, and then head outside for a sleigh ride down the wintry trails. Grab some hot chocolate when you're done and listen to classic Christmas carols inside. For more information, contact Grouse Mountain. Join Woody, Buzz, and the gang at the Pacific Coliseum for Toy Story 3 on Ice. The Oscar award-winning animated feature has been transformed for the arena. Watch the toys cope as their owner goes off to college and they're donated to a daycare. Tickets are available online at Ticketmaster. The 99th Grey Cup is November 27th at BC Place. Hometown team BC Lions square off against Eastern champs Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The event is sold out, but you can get your fill of football fever at the Grey Cup Festival. Details are available online. For BCIT Magazine's community calendar, I'm Megan Roberts.
And welcome back. We'll now go live to Paul Albee, who's talking to BCIT Student Association Events and Program Manager Ian Morton. Ian's going to tell us about what BCIT's been doing to make the campus more environmentally friendly.
Thanks, Michael. That's right. I'm here live in the Great Hall with Ian. So Ian, I guess you didn't have to travel very far to join us today.
No, thank you very much. My office is 10 feet away. Thanks for being so local.
So there's some renovations going on in the Great Hall right now. Can you describe what's happening?
Yeah, we've just finished phase one. I do events in here for the Student Association, and it hasn't had a makeover since it was built in mid-90s. And so we've fixed and cleaned all the furniture, reupholstered. Phase two is going to be putting in a new floor, which is in a bit of a state right now. We've got new lighting coming in, and at nighttime for the night students, it's really dark in here. So we're really happy about that. We're going to put trees in here too, so a bit of nature.
The third floor of the building is also seeing some changes. What's going on up there?
Yeah, the Student Association is, there's a great need for more student spaces, so we are expanding into the third floor and basically keeping SE2 as the student center. We're going to be putting in medical practice rooms in there and more study spaces, multi-purpose rooms, a large space for all the student clubs that we have now too, so we're pretty excited about those changes.
How are you bringing students into the third floor renovation?
Well, we're using students in the architectural science program to help us pre-design the third floor for all the different needs that we have there, and also just to put into practice some of the new sustainability standards that we have here. So we're putting all the right insulation and the heat standards in there too. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
How do you feel with waste in the food areas across the building?
Well, we're doing a lot of new green initiatives here at the SA, and you can check out more about that at www.bcitsa.ca, our website. But for the food areas, we're going to be starting to compost all our vegetable waste and our coffee waste materials, and also other paper recycling in the washrooms now. So that's a new thing we're doing.
What about paper versus cloth napkins?
Yeah, we did a study to figure out how we can cut down on paper waste in the pub especially, and we found we put a new protocol in order for the servers to use cloth more than to wipe up, and paper is actually the best way to go, because if you're washing cloths all the time, then you're burning up more energy for that. So we've got a new protocol for the servers.
What are you doing about all the paper?
Well, we've got a pretty good recycling program now in operation, and we're also cutting down on paper usage by using hand dryers too. So bit by bit, small steps, we're making progress in green initiatives.
All right, thank you very much for that, Ian.
You're welcome.
Back to you, Kaylee.
Thanks, Paul. A new building has opened on the campus of the University of British Columbia this month. Not only is it being hailed as a technological and architectural masterpiece, it's also an environmental breakthrough. Michael Popov has the story.
From the outside, this building here at the University of British Columbia doesn't look too much different than most, but the Center for Interactive Research on Sustainability may be the greenest building in North America, quite possibly the greenest on the planet.
So we're claiming that CERS will become the greenest building in North America. To give you an example, we're going to be harvesting rainwater and utilize that as our main source of potable water, or treat it on site and distribute that as potable water in the building. We're also going to be treating and recycling all the wastewater, all the liquid waste generated in this building, so that we can use that reclaimed water to flush toilets and urinals and for irrigation. A little bit with purifying the water a bit more.
The CERS building is constructed mainly with timber killed by the mountain pine beetle. In fact, there's more carbon trapped in the wood than there was carbon dioxide emitted throughout the entire construction process. And the roof is designed to be its very own self-sustaining ecosystem. The vegetation provides a meadow-like environment complete with indigenous plants for birds and insects. The CERS building here at the University of British Columbia is a state-of-the-art living laboratory. It creates its own energy, it treats its own sewage, and it even converts rainwater from the outside into drinking water on the inside. But if you want this technology at home, you're going to have to be patient, and it will cost you.
I don't have the specific numbers. It does add cost. Some consumers choose not to go that route because of cost. However, if it's a home you're going to live in long term, you will recover that cost in maybe 5 years. Talking to clients, we do point out that it's really a high performance type of home that you're going to be getting rather than an eco-friendly house.
The goal of the CERS building is not only to preserve the environment, but to improve it. To reach this goal, it doesn't have to be the greenest building on Earth, just one of many. Michael Popov in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. A number of beloved Disney characters are in the Lower Mainland this week. However, it's not all fun and games. The characters are pitching in to help the Surrey Christmas Bureau. Kaylee Ramsey has the story.
Woody and Buzz Lightyear from Disney Pixar's Toy Story 3 on Ice are hanging out and taking pictures with kids, all the while with Christmas in mind.
Today we are getting donations for needy families, mostly children that are coming from families that aren't quite as fortunate as others.
The toys are being collected for the Surrey Christmas Bureau, and while it's fun for the kids, some parents say it's also a great way to teach their children about the spirit of giving.
I think it's very important, especially to teach her that other kids don't necessarily have everything, and some kids don't have toys, so it's very important to share.
I very want them to have new toys.
Volunteers from the Christmas Bureau say people at today's event are being very generous, and that generosity needs to continue.
Our donations are down below what they were at this date last year. I think it's a little bit of the economy. People might be hesitant, just to make sure that they're spending enough for their own families before they start giving. The toys for this 2 to 7 year old are coming along pretty well, but the teens, both ends of the spectrum, the teens and the babies are the hardest ones to find enough for.
Gilroy says this year they are seeing a record number of needy families signing up for donations. Volunteers will be working around the clock to make sure all the children receive a gift this Christmas.
The important thing is their children go back to school in January, and when somebody says, hey, what'd you get for Christmas, they're able to also share their story about what they got that was an interesting thing and that really appealed to them as a child.
While this may look like a lot of toys, volunteers say it's only enough for about 100 children. And this year alone, the Surrey Christmas Bureau is expected to register about 5,000 families. Kaylee Ramsey in Surrey for BCIT Magazine.
And if you want to donate toys to the Surrey Christmas Bureau, you can drop them off at the Old Wally Library in Surrey or any Surrey Fire Hall. And for our last story, Gurv Bod takes you behind the scenes for our first on-location production from BCIT's Great Hall.
On a normal week, we usually broadcast BCIT Magazine live from here in Studio 2 in the BCIT Broadcast Building. But this week, we're live from BCIT's Great Hall for the very first time.
Now, Spencer, you're going to have to pan right as soon as you start.
Jordan Dinsmore is the director of the show, and he has the monumental task of ensuring things run smoothly.
My role is the director, so I'm basically calling the show as it goes live. So as we have multiple camera angles and multiple stories off the server, I switch in between the two and decide what looks best and how to do it.
These on-location shoots are essential in preparation for jobs in industry.
It really helps just to know all the ins and outs. If you can set up this, you can go anywhere in the broadcast industry.
Megan Roberts, who is producing the show this week, appreciates her colleagues' efforts.
The TV students have been so calm and they've been so prepared that they've made our job really easy because, quite frankly, they're the ones putting in all the legwork. They're the ones that had to source the place. They had to bring all the equipment over. We just had to proceed as normal. So I think we got off easy because we just had to do what we do normally, whereas they were the ones that were really putting in all the extra work of bringing it here.
40 seconds. Dinsmore says the success of these on-location shoots lies in a team effort.
It's really important just to work in teams, especially in our industry, because everybody has a different strength. And I find especially when you're working creatively, collaborating always works. So there's a lot of teamwork that goes into making a huge production thing like this happen.
Excitement is high for this first ever live location shoot in the Great Hall, and the students hope it is the first of many. Gurv Bod in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please visit us online at bcitbroadcastnews.ca or bcit-broadcast.com. I'm Kaylee Ramsey.
And I'm Michael Popove. Thank you for watching BCIT Magazine's first live on location broadcast. We'll leave you now from the Great Hall at BCIT in Burnaby.